Howdy. It's Monday night and it's time for the live. And I hope you are forgiving. You might have noticed last week that I didn't go live. And in fact, I totally bailed on it. Part of it is I wanted to take some time to rest and recharge. And I even had it all set up. I was ready to do it. And then I just said, I'm not. And I want to use that as an example. And that's why we're going to talk about how rest is super healing for you. So we had initially planned, my husband and I, to take a little mini vacation. We were going to go camping on the other side of the state. Really, we're looking forward to it. And we kind of did a little pivot at the last minute. One of the reasons we pivoted, we've kind of been doing some work this summer. So when I'm not in the clinic and working and doing my other job, I am actually up north. And we're trying to renovate a camper. We've kind of got some water and mice damage, and we are down to the wire with good weather, although this week is going to be gorgeous, thank goodness. But the weekends have been hard because there's been a lot of rain and a lot of issue. So we took that time as an opportunity to just work. But it was a good work. It's good work that we were doing together, and I enjoyed it. So one second, I have a little tiny cough. It's really dry. I apologize. But I want to talk about why rest matters. And I'm looking at it holistically because I didn't live in a great world. One second again. I am so sorry. Tickle. It doesn't work well when I'm supposed to be speaking to you. I am so sorry. You get those little tickles and then they go. I might have to bail on the live. So I used to be the one that really lived life and did not stop working and thought I was being lazy when I didn't work. When I wasn't busy, when I wasn't moving, when I wasn't wandering, I was lazy. And society kind of fuels that. And so between my internalness on doing that and then watching in society, I was a problem. I was one of those big problem children. And I don't know if that's you. I'm going to assume that probably some of you are like that. I see many clients that are very similar to that. But it's so important for you to rest. So there's a few reasons as to why. That's when your body's actually repairing itself. When you're resting, even if you're not sleeping, but when you're resting, your body needs to repair tissue, regulate hormones, strengthen immunity. Sleep in the downtime is when your body actually does the deepest healing. So you can't be on the go and expect to get better, okay? Nervous system also needs to reset. So the nervous system can either be stuck in fight or flight. It can regulate itself out of fight or flight and go into rest and digest, or it can be stuck in rest and digest. Most people, to be very honest, are stuck in fight or flight. That's where I have been on a regular basis for a very long time. And it requires me to actually be super active and proactive in trying to figure out how to pull myself out of that. One of the things I do is I force myself to rest. Then I can get the nervous system to calm down. What that's going to do, if you don't cause that calm to happen, you will lead yourself to burnout. You're going to lead to increased inflammation all over the body, more than likely illness, and then chronic illness. Let's not do that. Another thing that rest does is it helps you clarify your brain. You get mental clarity and you get increased creativity. So if I'm in the middle of doing something, and maybe some of you are like this in your work or in school, you're just diving in. Sometimes the best thing you can do is get up and walk away for a couple of minutes. Your brain needs to kind of do a recalibration. And you actually find yourself more productive when you come back. I found that actually is very, very helpful. I don't just keep pushing until I'm finished. Another thing, remember how I mentioned society. Society really likes to say you need to be busy, or if you're not, you're lazy. Unfortunately, that's not true in the idea that if you do not allow that rest to happen, you will not be well. So saying no, super important. Taking time off and taking time away is not lazy. It's actually essential, which is why I bailed on you guys. I needed to have that. Some other things that are really important about resting. It's giving yourself the permission to do it, I think, is the biggest thing. So how do you do that? And what are some of the tips and tricks that you can do to get yourself to actually rest? Because this was a really hard thing for me. I try to sleep. I aim for anywhere from 7 to 9 hours a night. I need to get myself to bed. And if I'm even starting to get tired, I just go to bed. Other things during the day, I will do anywhere from like 5 to 10 minute, like little mini rest periods. And what I mean by that is sometimes it's just, maybe I just need to like move out of the room I'm in. I practice out of my home. And so sometimes I need to just get up out of the office, go sit on the couch. I love to sit outside. That's actually my favorite place. And I ground. I'll just grab a towel and go sit on the ground and just lay there for a while. Or even just go for a little walk. Doesn't need to be long. 5 minutes is enough. Another thing that's really important too is digital detoxing. And so here we are on phones. Look at this. I'm doing a live. But you know what? Getting away from the phones is so important. At least if you can do it during the day where maybe you would be jumping on and scrolling, right? Doom scrolling is another word for it. You know, it's really fun, right? You're going to check out, you want to see what's going on, you want to get caught up on the news. But the problem is, even though you're getting that great, awesome dopamine hit, chances are you could be riling yourself up. And depending on what you're watching and depending on what sites you might be at, instead of the fun little puppy videos giving you the giggles, you might get yourself pretty upset and you actually could kind of cause yourself to get into a fight or flight stage. That doesn't help for rest. Other things are joyful rest. Something I love to do is I love to read. I love fiction at times, but I'm kind of geeky and I adore and just love reading books about where I can learn things. And so I'll get myself caught up into one of those books and I just love it. Other things I do is I listen to music. I personally love worship music. But it kind of depends on my mood. Worship music is stuff I can sing along with as long as I don't have any humans in the house. My dog's totally loving it and he thinks it's great. But there's something about the sound that you do when you're singing. And it can be very, very helpful and very releasing of extra stress. And one of the hardest things that I do when I try to rest joyfully is just literally sit in quiet. For somebody like me that loves to be on the go and loves to be moving and loves to be nonstop, it's been a real challenge for me just to sit and do nothing. And I started literally where I would set a timer and I would try to make it 30 seconds. And I'm not kidding when I couldn't do it. I'd sit there and I'd be bumping up and down and I'd be tapping things and I would just be squirreling. It's taken a long time, but I've actually gotten used to it. And I often drive with nothing playing on the radio, or I just sit and I just sit. And I don't get caught up in my thoughts, but it allows the rest. Again, plan breaks sometimes in people's schedules. Sometimes you just got to write it on the calendar, literally block it off and just say, okay, this is my time for my quiet time or my read time. That'll kind of help. But again, I can't stress enough about how important it is to take breaks and to take rests because your body just is not a machine. It's actually designed to thrive when it has time to heal. So rest is not optional. It's actually a requirement. So I want you just to consider maybe there are some things that you can do just to kind of remind yourself how important it is. Give yourself permission and just take a break. Thanks. Talk to you later. Bye.